So now we have a very special Q&A with Weiko Lin, the executive producer and writer for this movie. I'd like to start off the Q&A by asking what were some of the challenges that you experienced during the making of this movie?
Thanks again for everyone staying. It's quite a late showing. Really appreciate you being here. It's been a pleasure sharing this very personal movie with you all. One of the challenges, actually, the island we shot on is actually 10 hours by ship from Taiwan, and only 1 hour from mainland China. And because this island has no stoplights, meaning there's not much going on this island. So what happens, we have to ship 14 trucks, we have to ship a crane, 50 extras. Everything has to be shipped over. Generators, it's not like something where if we forget something, go back and get it. It's basically you're there, we're there for 1 month. So the logistics of shipping everything, that was the biggest challenges, yeah.
So does anyone else have any questions? Don't be shy.
I'm curious as to why it was a Chinese production instead of maybe an American one?
Okay, so she asked why it was a Chinese production instead of an American one?
It's a Chinese language film, so it would be, our main market is for the Chinese language speaking, but in terms of all the crew members, everything's from Taiwan, and the only international people involved, actually, director Henry Chan, who he's directed, like, if you've seen the shows Moesha, he directed all 6 years of Moesha, he won Emmy for editing The Cosby Show, Scrubs, King of Queens, that new NBC show A to Z, so very veteran Chinese-American director who left Hong Kong when he was 18. And his always wanted to do a Chinese language movie, and this is his first one, and we made it happen. And so international, for me, I'm Taiwanese, so we made it because of it's my company that I started up 2 years ago to make this as our first film. And my other producing partner, she's actually half Hong Kong Chinese, half British. So it's actually quite an interesting thing, and everyone else, all local Taiwanese talent and crew.
Any other questions?
Weiko, could you tell me about your story?
Oh, I mean involvement with this? Okay, this kind of the story. Like, why make this movie? Director Henry Chan was generous. He pushed away a year of work. In Hollywood, that's a lot of work, right? It's a lot of stuff, and I pushed away a year and a half of my stuff. Basically, my mom passed away 7 years ago, and when I went back to Taiwan to send her off, she's a cancer, so she had a year and a half, but I didn't know about this when I was like, bring her ashes back to the United States. They told me about this tradition, which is true, 100 days. You either get married in 100 days, or you have to wait for 3 years. And it's Taiwan, Singapore, Hong Kong, and southern China. So a big part of southern China have this tradition. And I just thought, I was so sad and mourning my mom's loss, but at the same time, it's like, here's an idea for a movie, here you go. So then I thought, that's the cool premise, 100 days get married. And then it's kind of cool because every job as a parent is to see their children get married and build a family. It's like their job is done, right? So the idea is, in Chinese culture, after someone passes, in a way they're sold around for 100 days. So in a way they can see, and in a way, the Chinese word is 放心, release your hearts. So in a way, I didn't get married in 100 days, right? But I just thought it was a cool premise. And my mom have always told me, because I've been teaching university level screenwriting, and I've been writing American films for over 10 years. And she always says, how come you always do American movies and teach Americans? And my dream, and it's not her death, but kind of when she's ill, and she goes, I hope one day you come home and do something in Chinese or something like that, in that respect. And in a way, this is my fulfillment promise to my mother. So that's why at the end, it's like in the memory of my mom, and also director Henry Chan. And it's very interesting. And he wished he could be here today, and he really sends his regards and love. His mom, same thing. He's a veteran, from all his credit I just listed off, 25 years, a veteran, TV direction, and being Asian American, Chinese American. I mean, as a kid, I saw his name growing up, Him and Ang Lee's name for people I thought, hey, maybe I could do this. And that's why, pursued this respect. On the day we're leaving for Maju, the island, the first day of shooting, so basically, his mom passed away. so his mom was in the States, and the mom doesn't know a single word of English. And then he doesn't even know what he does for a living, really, doesn't really get it. But then when we made the announcement in Chinese newspaper that he's going to be doing his Chinese language, he said for the first time he felt real proudness from his mom. And then, so basically when mom passed away that morning, they were about to leave, literally at the airport. I mean, it was the night before, and then the airport, and he told me the news, and I go, look, we have contingency in the budget, you need to go home. He's the oldest, in Chinese culture, he's the oldest child, and et cetera, et cetera. You need to be back. And no crew, no one knew about it. But then he said, no, my mom will want me to stay and do this and finish this. And that was it. And then in a way, his mom was watching over him, direct. So all those kind of little moments, those are all really real, if that makes sense. Very real from the heart. So for both of us, it's really obviously the trailer is like, young people, the mark we have to, like young romantic comedy. But this is really about not just love of a childhood love, it's love of love for our mothers. We come out of a female, we all came out someone's womb, someone's womb, someone, okay? So I think there's some interesting connection to that, and a love of home, something like that. And for both of us, it's kind of like returning home to our roots, and then it was really great. And then this has been really kind of catharsis for us, and then creatively, but it's probably one of the, I think for me and Henry, one of our proudest works that we've ever done, so, yeah. Good question. Sorry, that was my whole thing. I covered all your Q&As, you're done, go home now.
Back there.
How long did it take you to make the movie?
Yeah, so pre-production basically means, getting a budget together, getting the designs of the sets and building the set. So we actually used the practical. We pretty much lived, that's an actual bed and breakfast place. So we just shot everything there. The crew lived on the set pretty much. The only thing we had to build was the workshop. You saw that workshop thing? That's actually a public toilet behind there. So we built this nice, wooden, beautiful little workshop in this grocery store. That's the only thing we really built. It took about a month of physical shooting on the island, so 1 whole month. Yeah, and then maybe 5 days in Taipei for the Taipei scenes in the city.
Did you really get the best reception on the island, like the main character?
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny you ask. We literally don't get reception there, and it's because the whole island, because we're 10 hours away from Taiwan, guys, But what's funny is we roam from China Mobile. So we're like roaming through China. I mean, mostly just walkie-talkies and stuff. Of course, phones, but they do have Wi-Fi there, but not island walking, specific places, So, and so it's really life imitating art imitating life, however you want it. But it was really that kind of difficulty to get reception as well. So.
Any other questions?
I think the score, the music was really great.
Oh, really? Seriously, we had a local composer, but in Asian cinema, I'm not sure you guys watch a lot of Asian cinema. They don't really understand the concept of scoring music to movies. There's only a very dramatic moment. They go dun 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 dun, and then there'll be no music. But most American films, as you know, 80% of the movie has music. Some sort of is very subtle and stuff. So we had we had a local composer do about half of it, and then I had my composer friend in the States do the other half. Or is it 3/4? I don't know. But she did a majority, 2/3, but then for the funny cues, they couldn't they don't get the concept of funny cues. And that was like the biggest, how do you cue, it was like not a nightmare, but then I still the funny cues and some of the dramatic stuff, more complex orchestrations and composing to the US composer. So 2 people did the composing.
I think you had a question, friend.
You mentioned that it's an Asian American story, but in Asian Asian language.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what's Asian American is the lead actor. He's an Asian American actually, but he's been developing his career in Taiwan and Hong Kong for the last 10 years, 8 to 10 years. So it's interesting when we cast. His background wasn't like, hey, this is a Weiko story, It was more, I'm very close to my mom, by the way. It wasn't like, hey, it's like estrangement. But, for dramatic purpose, I have to make them estranged, But the actor who he played, we originally casting, the story wasn't that he went out of the state. He just went to the city. But when we casted him, it's like, well, you're from the state. We kind of make it as real for the actors. So we tailor-make. So the way we work in our company is that all the script is developed very Hollywood style, and then as you guys can see, I feel like it's very it has a kind of a Western way of storytelling. And whoever we cast, we kind of fix the dialogue to really fit with fit them, if that makes sense, right? Just like this.
What was it like managing sort of, the local talent, especially since,
Yeah, he was a nightmare. No, because what happens is the difference between, let's say, Taiwan, even China. I'm telling you, China is huge, big. You hear all the film stuff. Everything's unionized in the States, meaning one person is an assistant director for his entire life. One person is a line producer for his whole life. One person is the props person for his entire life. That's what they do. That's what they're professionals. They're the best at that. But in Taiwan and China, it's like one movie, the one person assistant director, another movie, he's the props guy, another movie, he's grip. Because you gotta get jobs, right? I mean, if you just do only one thing, there's only so many movies, you can't make a living. So everyone kind of knows how to do everything, but not well. But it was really great because Henry, director Henry Chen, who's, he's my idol, he's really, in a way, bringing the knowledge of how to do production, and then they really just loved learning the new ways. Not like they don't know how, they don't want to, because they haven't had that experience to be able to work on, to work closely with someone such good, kind of the professional, not that they're not professional, they're all the professional, that best crew that Taiwan has, but just in terms of the logistics and stuff, but it was great, they learned, and we shot on, because in Asia, in Taiwan and China, they shoot straight through without rest. 14, 15, 16-hour days, there's no limit, but we finished 12 hours every day, we shot 6 days, rest 1, 6 days, rest 1, so we try to give it that kind of great professional, human environment, for that cause, yeah.
Did you have a question, Brent?
What is the touring schedule like for the film now? Does it tour in
Yeah, we released in Taiwan theatrically. We world premiere Hawaii International Film Festival in October. It was really great. These island stories. But you guys are great. I mean, it's really cool listening to your reactions, and I've seen them like 100 times, but it's always a different experience with an audience. And Island, they were just, because it's them. They're Asian American, they just, in their island life, they loved it. So it was a really good kind of launching pad. We released in Taiwan nationwide in October, and then we've gone through festivals in China, the Golden Rooster 100 Flowers, like their Chinese Oscars, I guess, the festival. It was very well received there. Went to the Xi'an, so it's toured a lot of mainland Chinese. And we hopefully can pick up distribution in China maybe next year, so we're still negotiating, and from there. The next stop, and if you have friends in Los Angeles, please let them know. If you go to 100daysmovie.com, we're releasing theatrically, opening December 12th at the Laemmle Theater. I'm not sure if you have, I don't think have Laemmle here, but it's basically a chain of art house theaters. We're starting with one theater in Pasadena, okay? But it's so critical that opening weekend we get as many people, because like 4 or 5 screenings a day, and we want to pack it, because how that opening weekend, then it'll determine if it'll get an additional longer play and then also additional theaters, and that's the reality of it. You can't play an empty theater, no one's there. So if you have Los Angeles friends, please, if you like the movie, please tell them to come watch. And it's a movie that I know, like usually parents probably, they feel like, what's a good movie to watch with your parents or your grandparents? We feel this is a really great movie to in terms of family, get the family, fill the seats, more people. No, but I think it's a great, it's a great mom, kind of parents, kind of a movie. I think it'd be great. So for those of you, thank you for asking that, so I can plug it in. December 12th, 12/12, we love those numbers, right? 12/12, Friday, 12/12, December 12th. Find true love in 100 days, whatever, marketing, 100 days, you find true love. Tell them, go watch a movie, you'll find true love in 100 days. I'm already married, you'll find true love still. You'll discover that true love, so make sure, so tell them that, 100 days, yeah.
I have a quick general question. Why do you think in Asian American cultures, that we're not that mainstream? I noticed that, growing up and watching all these movies, we always get these stereotypes that, we had to do the kung fu action.
Yeah.
Or, the major upsetting one was Dragon Ball.
Yeah, they cast it.
A white guy. And I'm why do you think, you being in Hollywood, that why can't Asian Americans or Asians in general?
Yeah, and that's a really good question. I think it's been really changing a lot, and we slowly but surely, but it takes, what it is, and in today's panel we talked about this, basically, it's not about whether we accept them or not. It's like, if they bring in money in Hollywood, trust me, there'll be a bunch of Asian people on. If they're not gonna, oh no, we're not gonna stay from Asians. Yeah. They're making money, hell, they'll put a turtle on there, be a star. It doesn't matter. Well, so it takes, for example, and I really, Fresh Off the Boat, that new ABC series you guys heard about, it's the first Asian American sitcom, primetime, major network in 20 years. I know there's a lot of writing on this, but it takes people to go watch it.
Yeah.
If the ratings are bad, see ya, and they'll be like, see, I told you, no one's gonna watch Asians. Right? And it's a very well done show. It's the showrunner, the head person in charge, is a woman who created Don't Trust a Bee in Apartment 23, which Henry also directed, you know? But it's just, I'm plugging him. I'm like his agent or something. I need a commission. I'm his press agent. But I just think, you know, and so to answer your question, it's this. It's really on bottom line. And people, Asian Americans always, okay, here's the people who I don't like. They're sitting at their room going, oh my God, you know, Asian not representing. I want to be. I would say then get all your friends, make it a duty. Whenever an Asian American movie comes to the theaters, you pack the house. And when you watch it, turn it on. Don't have to watch it, just turn it on, leave it on. Whoever Nielsen's, make them do it. Just turn it on, you know, because without that rating and that goes, it's gone, you know. And Selfie with John Cho, he was not to be an Asian. It's not like, I am an Asian, really man, haha. No, that role was not for an Asian person, and he was in it. And Lucy Liu to play Watson on Elementary, that wasn't meant to be for, hey, sexy Asian, you know. I mean, she's sexy, but you know, she's also getting, you know, she's not like with Charlie's Angels, you know, days anymore. I mean, no, she still looks great. Don't worry, don't get me wrong. I worked with her just recently. I wrote, she hosted an award show. I wrote her, you know. So, no, but she's great. She's great. And then but it takes an army of these people, you know. And so as long as so that's my reasoning. If there's money,
Yeah.
absolutely, it'll be all Asian people, you know, profitable.
All right, so I think we have time for one more question.
Where?
Oh. Okay, so we'll do two.
And just to kind of follow up on
Yeah.
that, like, what do you think about, like, the amount of capital that's been pouring into the U.S. movie industry from mainland?
Yeah. I mean, half of them have fallen apart because they say big thing and nothing come through. But yeah, it is. It's right now. But here's the thing: the way I see movie making, like, hopefully, it feels like you guys enjoyed the movie, and I feel like it was a sincere laughter. It's meant to be funny, so don't worry. You guys laughed at all the right places, like in limping. We kind of want to pay a little homage to he twists his ankles. I'm running like a rope. So we're paying a little wink, little laughter. So it's okay that you laughed at all the right places. And when a girl sees them kissing. I mean, I just like that. We're kind of doing that. I feel we're making movies for the world. It's no longer in this generation with internet, with all these different platforms. It's not about China movie, Taiwan movie. Like you were saying, why isn't it an Asian or American? For me, it's basically storytelling. It's dependent on language, but I just feel like we're in this time with making movies for the world. And whether China money coming in, and China money coming in Hollywood, they just want to make money too. Hollywood wants to go to China. Transformers, you saw Transformers? Drinking milk, product placement, making money, right? Okay? But still entertainment that bridges, and I think that's a good thing. Right? I mean, I think it's a good thing, exchanging, yeah.
Okay, and then last question.
Yes, can you, the casting was very well done. Can you talk about the actors who were the lead?
Really interesting. I'm glad it's a great question for the last one. And thank you. I'm so glad you enjoyed it. So the casting process is this. We came into Taiwan. We don't know anyone who's famous. You're famous, not famous, I have no idea, right? And of course, a lot of famous people go, I don't audition, offers only. And I go, well, you're not going to even be considered because I don't know who you are, right? So what was unique about this is most stars, they do idol dramas, they do soap operas, they overact a lot. So what we did, and it was unheard of, we did a total blind casting call. From the most famous, to the least famous, to nobodies, to anyone, whoever casted, who fit the part the most. And here's the thing, 3 people have to say yes. And we interview even people who have, a couple lines, So here's the thing. Director Henry Chan, he speaks Chinese, so he understands. So he gets it. I speak Chinese. I get it. So you see from a directing point of view, I'm seeing from a writer's point of view, from a producing kind of angle. And then but my producing partner, who's English, half Hong Kong Chinese, she doesn't know a single word of Chinese. But she needs to say yes. It has to be 3 knots. Boom, right? Like the triumvirate of the room. And so, but if she feels it, does that make sense? She knows what the context of it. So we're not swayed by language, we're swayed by that universal human, and that was the key, I believe. Because some people go, oh my God, that person's great, haha. And say, our producer was like, no, don't feel it, So that's the way. So I'm glad you asked that question. I'm glad that you thought it was well cast. And we do want to slowly make this movie, but then the negative part of it, because not famous, it's hard to get the films that market, you know? But so far, all of our critics have been rave reviews, like Taiwan, they love to slam on people, every movie they love to, they'll say stuff like, this sucks, you know, da-da-da-da. But our movie was actually by one of the top critics, was saying, this should be the standard for all Taiwan films from now on. You know, and so we felt very, thank you, not me, Henry, yeah. And then they also felt like, you know, Taiwan directors should learn from this, because everyone tries to do the most, you know, have you seen quirky Taiwanese movies, they're like random sometimes? He goes, I mean, it's not the most original movie, you know, the kind of, but, you know, it's all romantic comedies, this, you know, but it is kind of a beat in the storyline. But what I think the thing is, it's the execution of it, right? Okay, you have the same storyline. He said, you know what? This is the first time we're going to criticize, even though this is something to say about something that's not the most original, but it was entertaining and they loved it. So I feel like that's what we've set out to accomplish.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. We hope that you enjoyed the movie. So before you leave, if you can just take a second and fill out the surveys that we gave you. And then also, let's just give a big round of applause to Weiko Lin.
I'm also Boston-based, well, kind of, BAAFF, so I'm here to support whatever, you know, the filmmaking people. Thanks.